Hello, everyone out there in podcast world. I hope you're having a wonderful day. You are listening to or watching the Service Business Mastery podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Tersh Blissett, sitting virtually next to my co-host, Joshua Crouch. Today's episode, actually, I'm not even going to start talking about today's episode. I'm going to leave that to Josh. But what I do want to talk about is our voice message system. If you go to our website, it's servicebusinessmastery.com. You'll see a little green button at the bottom right of the screen. If you click that button on the cell phones and tablets, I think it's in the same position, same place. Just tap that and then hit the record button and leave us a message. And so if you ever have a question about anything, just thinking about something like, hey, I have a question about this, or maybe you can connect me with so-and-so, just record that message, that voice message right there. And it'll come straight to us. We will reply. And if it's something that can stay there, like a frequently asked questions type thing, it'll stay there. And if it's something that needs to come offline, then we can take it offline as well. So it's a new little feature that we have. And so we want to make sure that we're connected with you, the listening audience, as much as possible. And sometimes it's difficult to have emails and, get on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. Like where do we connect with you to talk to you? So just go to the website and click record message, and that comes straight to us, and we'll get back to you.
So this is what happens when I'm not here. I had no idea we even did that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to play with it and leave you a message.
Right.
It's probably gonna be dirty.
Leave it to Josh. Oh man. Next, I want to give a huge shout out to Billy and his team over at Sarah. A great program. It's a CRM built for the trades. Really about efficiency and running your business off of margins versus just kind of guessing, which is what most of us do. Is just kind of like wonder and checking book accounting. I guess is the best way to say it. So Sarah, huge shout out to Billy and his whole team, because they're giving so much back to our industry. They're not just a CRM. They really are helping, because Billy's like OG, like back in the day. Really, he knows in and outs of the service business world. And so for him to get on podcasts like ours and other podcasts and share his knowledge it's amazing. And we really appreciate that. Last but not least, Company Cam, really good stuff. Every time I mention Company Cam, somebody kind of mentions in the comment how they use Company Cam, and it does a great job for them. As we're going to talk marketing today, but a little bit about Company Cam is that it can throw images on your website, say on your homepage on the carousel, like you set up a little carousel, and that's great for SEO stuff. So use the what is the code that we have, Josh? I don't know. I'll put it in the show notes, but the Company Cam code, and you get 50% off for the first 3 months. So I think it's Company Cam /SBM, Service Business Mastery. So yeah, there's that. Now you can talk, Josh.
Oh, thank you. I was away for 2 weeks, and my mic privileges were revoked in the meantime. So for any of you guys that are using Sarah, and even just if you like data, you're going to love today's episode. Today is all about data and understanding your data, because a lot of times, even with the high level CRMs, there's a lot of data entry that has to happen through your employees, through your technicians, and that data is not right. I shouldn't say it's not right. It's not right 100% of the time. And I've seen this from when I was in the HVAC world, with the way things were getting entered from our CSR, to even having clients now when they use Service Titan and stuff like that. The data does not get entered correctly, so that way you can attribute it properly to your marketing efforts. And the problem with that is, as we all know, if you can't properly attribute revenue to your marketing efforts, you're making decisions based on bad data. And our guest today is they're personal favorites of mine. From a company called Searchlight Digital. and they've developed some really cool stuff, and they have some really cool background on how this all kind of came about over the last several years. So I'm excited to get them on the show today and have them kind of go through their product and also go through what they see, what kind of problems they see, and the solutions that they have for them.
Yeah, I'm excited about this too, because Josh won't shut up about it. So I'm excited to hear Jon talk.
Are you looking for valuable business advice to reach that 7-figure revenue mark? Do you want actionable tips to properly navigate through every business challenge you encounter along the way? Let Tersh Blissett and Josh Crouch be your guide in getting you to the top here at Service Business Mastery. Tune in as they sit down with world-renowned authors in business, leadership, and personal growth who share valuable insights about management, marketing, pricing, human resources, and so much more. Let their nuggets of wisdom gold guide you in owning a thriving, profitable, and ever-growing business. Here are your hosts, Tersh and Josh.
Hey, Jon, how are you?
Good, guys. How we doing? I'm so excited to be here.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Jon, tell us, give us an overview of, because you guys didn't start as a technology company, so kind of give us an overview of like what started you guys in the advertising world, and then what kind of brought you to where you guys are today.
Yeah, so starting Searchlight was pretty organic. We had family friends that were in the industry. So our founder's father's a plumber, his uncle runs an HVAC business, and they had known that we had, a decade of digital marketing experience. So they said, "Listen, we hire these marketing agencies. We don't understand it. Can you look at it and look at the data and just make sure that we're getting something out of it? Because I'm good at running my business and I don't want to have to think about this." So we opened up the hood. We got into Google Ads. We looked at Google Analytics. We got into it. And what we found is they were being taken advantage of, like flat out, like no doubt being taken advantage of. And we explained sort of what was going on, the questions that they should ask their vendor. And we talked amongst ourselves and said, "Hey, we've been doing this for a long time in the automotive industry. We've seen all the shifts happen. Why don't we go for it in the HVAC space?" And we did. And we partnered with a really great technology company that helps us manage ads at scale. So we actually don't even manage the ads out of Google AdWords, Bing. We have an interface that does it for us. And we were really pumped about it. And when we got our first few clients, they said, "Hey, we really like your team. We like the energy. We can tell you care, but we're not seeing the data in our CRM." And what I chose to do, because I like to roll up my sleeves, that's how I've always been. For about 9 months, I tracked every single lead through the CRM to revenue. And I found a lot of issues with the way that tracking was being done and a lot of problems with it, which was causing bad marketing decisions. So we brought in a brilliant developer, hired an engineering team, and we've now automated that solution. But we were Searchlight advertising up until very recently. And we're really pivoting into being the data analytics platform for this industry, because I know Tommy Melly talks about, hey, the trades deserves better. And our mantra, because we have family, we care about it. The trades deserves better data. So that's what we're getting focused on.
So when you were doing all of this testing and research and everything, how often was it that you were finding that people weren't answering their phone?
Yeah. So that, I mean, every single account, right? So it's interesting because we would measure the return on ad spend. We would connect and say, "Listen, you spent $5,000 on Google PPC. You got $50,000 in return on ad spend closed," and we can get into some of the nuance there. But every single one of our clients had an opportunity to improve what we call the match rate of phone calls, form leads, schedule engine leads, all of the above. So what we see on average is a match rate for phone leads of 25%. What we mean by that, and this is going to shock a lot of people, is 25 out of every 100 phone calls from PPC, Facebook ads, Bing ads match to new work in the CRM, a new opportunity. That means that 75 don't. So that's a combination of missed calls. It's a combination of agencies calling in your paid number to pitch you. It's existing customers.
Nobody hates that.
Exactly. But what is happening is all of those calls are factored into your cost per lead, and they're never going to turn into new work. So cost per lead, that's our mantra too, is one of the most damaging metrics in this industry because it's a false positive. And we've seen it. I've seen people pretend to be from Google, call a paid number 10 times, which for another provider, it shows up as 10 leads. And you think, oh, I got 10 leads, but I don't have revenue in the bank.
Well, that's what, and it's some of it's lack of technology over the past 10 years, but that's what marketing companies have reported on. And I'm guilty of that as well. It's like, hey, we're reporting on calls. Well, we see your call volume going up. And then contractors give it, well, there's spam numbers, there's this, there's that, which is true. And I'm not listening to every single call myself, so I don't know that. But there's a large number of calls that, or they're repeat customers, or it's Mrs. Smith called 3 times because she's got 3 different questions and she needs to talk on the phone for 30 minutes every single time. You know, it's all these things that come in that affect these numbers. So when we were going through this with some mutual clients and stuff, it was very interesting to me to see that like 20 to 25% of, so if a client gets 4 phone calls that month, that's probably one actual lead that's going to lead to booked work.
Yeah.
And looking at it from that lens is like, holy smokes, like maybe, our clients are doing well, but maybe they're not doing as well as I'm sitting here thinking.
What can we do to stop that? Or what can we do to change that, fix that?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that, because that's sort of been our mission.
Church, you're still good.
Because I'm thinking as a business owner, I'm like, I hate the fact that I mean, it's like $500, because that's, I mean, Google just dings me every time I have $500, and I'm like, I just don't feel like I've gotten that many leads,
Yeah. PPC has a terrible reputation in our industry. And I know why. It's because it's all measured against cost per lead. And I can share some data. I know exactly. I'll just do that now. So a book job from Google PPC, on average, this is 20, 30,000 leads that we track, costs $391.17. The average ticket from that's about $3,500. So Google PPC, when run well, it's about an 8 to 10x return on ad spend close. Now, our industry is extremely nuanced, and I think everybody knows this. A customer say they call in, they're going to get a sales consultation first. Then they're going to get an open estimate. Then they're going to take a week or 2 to decide. And then your backlog is probably 2 weeks long. So it's a month before that customer becomes a paid job. And what we were finding in the CRMs is some of them, once they had their sales consultation, they were marked as existing customers. So that's another big thing that happens. How many of these are new? And we differentiate between the 2 things. But there's 2 things that we look at is the channel that referred the customer. So, we work with Josh on SEO. Is it display? Is it Facebook? Is it Google organic, PPC, Google My Business? But the second most important thing, and this gets back to like, as a business owner, what do I do about this? We measure the match rates by conversion tool. So it's where do they come from? And then how do they convert? I can tell everybody right now that if you have a chat tool and if you have a form on your website, you are probably not maximizing your opportunity. You're probably not responding to the chats quick enough. There's probably some that are falling through the floor. You're probably not responding to form leads in the way that you should be. 2 emails and a phone call, 2 phone calls and an email. That is the number one thing that we see across even the well-run businesses is, hey, make sure that you have responsibility, accountability, and a follow-up process for these new conversion tools, which customers are starting to use more and more.
So what I love is the fact that you guys, and I know you know this because we've talked all the time, but is you're kind of turning the paradigm that's shifting with just being a leads provider, right? Like we're just providing leads. Whatever you do with them is your business. Yeah. And what that you're going to succeed or fail based on what you do. But now you're turning the paradigm where it's okay. So now we know where we start to have problems in our business. And now we have conversations, not just about getting more leads, because every marketer that listens to this podcast is going to be like, I've heard that conversation before. I need more leads. Yeah. When in reality, we go look at the calls, we listen to the calls. There's either a problem answering the phone, booking the lead because we're too far booked out. Our price is too high. We can't handle price objections, or they're looking for a competitor, especially with paid ads, right? They're looking for a competitor and we can't convert them. Yep. And it's all this lost money that those $500 charges add up because we're not doing these things. But now we can actually start to pinpoint where our business is weak So that way we can take that, let's say I think the industry average is like 3 to 5x on pay-per-click. Really well run is 8 to 10, but 3 to 5 is probably pretty normal. And maybe that's even high. Is start to tweak little things to make our business better, convert more form leads, see where we're having those issues. Because right now, a lot of business owners are in the dark. Even if you have the schedule engines and you have all this data, you don't know what to do with it.
Yep.
And just having that visibility into getting deeper into that stuff, or having your marketing company get deeper into that stuff, because your marketing company will know where the problem is because they understand the flow and the funnel. But so can you kind of go through?
Can I ask a question real fast?
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned earlier about existing clients, like getting stuck in the existing client funnel. Because when I look at I'll look at in the CRMs and they'll say, these clients, they're all existing, like 80% of our customers are existing customers, when in reality, it was just, they were calling back from that week's call.
Yeah.
How is it, do we need to keep it, like if it's PPC or if it's LSA, do we need to keep them LSA forever, or is there a time period where they can be considered an existing client? I know from experience that existing client is the easy way out. It's just like, oh, existing customer, whatever. They're in our database, so I'm going to put them as that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So what we do is we pull data in from CRMs exactly as it is in the CRM. So we can see the entire history of that customer. So what we do is look at, okay, did this person spend money with your business before coming in as a lead on one of the channels that we manage or that we're tracking? If the answer is no, then they're a new customer. If the answer is yes, then they're an existing customer. So that's how we split it out. And then when we look at future revenue, but the important thing here is that the majority of the revenue from a new customer comes within the first 90 days because it's usually an installation or a replacement. We see that quite frequently. And here's the really important part, because again, we get into these conversations of like, okay, well, what if they came in from Google PPC, but later from SEO? And we can talk about some of that, but PPC data is easily manipulated. And what I mean by that is someone can run a lot of branded searches. So they'll pay for, for your business to show up when somebody searches for Searchlight on Google, and they can take credit for that. And they can say, look at all the leads that I've gotten you. But when you really dig into the data, are those new and existing customers? So what we have done with our clients is we have put a focus on unbranded searches. So 74% of our Bing leads were from new customers. And we can drill down into that data. That was their first touch point to turning into revenue. If it changes down the line, that's fine. So to answer your question, Tersh, I don't think that necessarily matters as much, like which, channel, if they came in LSA, they go to something different. What I think is important is that you have enough data to be able to call BS if somebody's just running a ton of branded searches to get the lead volume to make themselves look good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I love is you guys, because this is the problem I've realized, and I'm going to use ServiceTitan as an example because that's what I'm familiar with. We would have a customer come in, they would call one of our tracking phone numbers inside of ServiceTitan. So it would go to Google My Business, pay-per-click, Facebook, whatever the case is. We would leave an estimate, whether it was a repair or replacement. Nothing got closed. We charge maybe a service fee. Mm-hmm. Later, a week, 2 weeks, a day, whatever it is, they decide 6 months later, they decided they wanted to do and move forward with the full estimate of what we gave them. And that would go to existing customer because they were in our database already, when in reality, we didn't actually do any work for them. We just did a diagnostic, we did an estimate, and that business finally closed. Now, then if they did work after that, they're an existing customer because we did an installation, we did a repair, they're in our pipeline, whatever. But the problem is the data is being entered incorrectly from CSRs who just don't understand how this works on the marketing end and how the attribution works. And I guess how have you guys transitioned from just talking about calls and leads and how to get more of those into actually helping your clients get better results from the leads and stuff they already have?
Yeah. we've introduced this concept of revenue flow. So I love the HVAC industry. If you know, I spent a lot of time reading Reddit and the Facebook groups, and everybody talks about airflow and where are you leaking airflow. And if you don't have airflow, you don't have HVAC, right? So we talk about revenue flow, and we talk about it as sort of a system of actions. It's like a funnel, but it's really a flywheel because you want the customer coming back. So we look at the total number of leads that come in, right? We start there. And then we show them the number of match leads, and then we show them the number of booked jobs. The average booked job rate, which is the percentage of leads that turn into a booked job, a paying customer, is 21%. And they say, oh my gosh, you're saying that, 80% of my leads are not turning into paid work? And I say, yes, absolutely. Then we look at match rate. We see how well is a lead matching to a new opportunity in the CRM, which tells us the quality of leads. It tells us how well we're handling the leads. And then we look at your average cost per book job. We do not talk about cost per lead. We talk about cost per book job. And then we look at your average ticket. Now, this industry is nuanced. I understand why no one's really done this and done it well. Is because you have open estimates. You have sold jobs. You have closed jobs. You might be booking out 2 weeks. So how do you handle that? So what we do is when we look at time periods, like the month of June, we look at the revenue that closed in that month, the revenue that was sold in that month, and the open estimates given in that month. And then we follow the customers through that revenue flow. So if you're an open estimate on June 15th, but you close on July 1st, we show you as closed on July 1st and remove that open estimate. So it's really just thinking about this as a flow. But one of the biggest gaps, and it's monstrous, is that no one is really seeing what is I see that comment. I love it. Thank you. No one's seeing what's happening on the website. So that's what's unique about us is we built a tracking pixel that goes on the website and tracks every single activity. So while we're displaying a dashboard that shows the revenue flow, if you want to drill into a customer, which I've done before, and I have some good examples of things that happen that might scare people into thinking, okay, we got to really think about this. I can see what pages they go to. I can see what conversion tools they use. I can see how much time they spend on the site. And it just unlocks observation of customer behavior. Are they using Schedule Engine? The answer is yes. And the average ticket is about $2,000 higher. And the average match rate is about 40% higher with that. They're using chat. 75% of revenue comes from phone. But we can watch how customers behave on your website so you can make changes to match that evolving behavior, if that makes sense.
Are these customer behaviors, are they geographically specific, or is this across the entire, say, the U.S.?
It's really interesting you asked that. Yes, we are seeing geographic patterns. For example, we have a phenomenal client in the Pacific Northwest, and it was 2 summers ago or a summer ago, they had a monstrous heat wave, which was pretty unique for north of Seattle. And a lot of people
like 75 degrees.
Yes, yeah. No, it was
not the sun came out for a day.
Yeah, exactly. But they saw a tremendous amount of demand. I saw something that I have not seen is revenue generated from forms and chats combined were higher than phone calls. I've never seen that. Now, that's not the norm across the United States, but largely we are seeing new customers tend to use the form conversion tool. They tend to use the Schedule Engine conversion tool. They tend to use chat. Phone still dominates at 75% of the revenue that we track, about 50,000 leads at this point. But it is, the general trend is a little more micro, but there are some regions where it's a lot more pronounced.
Billy and I and Josh were talking about this back whenever they had the great freeze in Texas. And they had to turn their phones off.
Yep.
And it was all leads coming in through their websites. And for a long time, like that's where they were generating a ton of their leads were through their website, which is pretty, I mean, I like that. For me, it takes some of that. I don't know. Maybe this is a good question for you. Whenever they're looking at a schedule engine, or maybe you have something built out in your website where you can go through a funnel.
Yeah.
How often is, so a well-trained CSR can handle price objections.
Yep.
But how often do you see somebody bounce once it comes to a price objection, or can you tell that very, very easily?
Yeah. So we pull in all the form data, all the chat data. So we can see the chat transcripts and we can see if that comes up. It's interesting. I don't have a data point to say this percentage of chat leads dropped, but what I can say is that the average ticket for a chat lead tends to be a lot higher, and it tends to be from a new customer.
That's a lot higher than phone leads.
Phone leads, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and this is not to denigrate phone. Phone is still the preferred choice. Like, again, no matter what a customer does, whether I like it or not, or you like it or not, it's what they want to do, and we have to be ready to serve them based on how they want to be served. I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
So phone is still the dominant channel. But we had a client that wanted to cancel chat because they just didn't believe that someone would come in fully through chat and do a replacement. I've seen dozens and dozens of those. I've seen hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue from those. They ended up not canceling. So I think we're going to get to that place where we have a bigger data set and we can put our data scientists to work and get that specific. But I think from a trend perspective, having data like this can help you make a decision. If you're like, hey, I'm on the fence about Schedule Engine, I want to add it to the site, I want to see what revenue it generates. That's what this is useful for. Hey, I want to add chat to the site. I want to see if it, does it take away from my phone leads? Generally, we don't see that happen. What does it generate? Can I get into some specific conversations? I can. But that's the way we look at it, is just, hey, revenue flow. And then you can experiment, but you can experiment seeing the revenue on the other side of that experiment.
Yeah, what's beautiful is once the tracking pixel is set up and you guys are connected through API or other connections with the CRM, the booking link, the chat service, whatever they have on the website, it's pretty much hands off and the data feeds in. Like, you don't have to sit there and be like, oh, did I do this? Or did I mark the call booked a certain way in the CRM? Like, it takes the manual data entry part off your plate.
Yeah.
Now you get data that you can make decisions with.
Is this going to work with most every CRM out there? Or, I mean, and then are you doing the marketing, or are you working with the marketing that they have? Yeah,
those are amazing questions, Tersh. I appreciate it. So
this is why we invited him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, these are great, and I love. I mean, they're good questions. So the answer is yes. We are working with multiple CRMs. So we integrate with CRMs. We have some CRMs that are older and they're a server in the basement and pulling that data. Now, this is again like we have skin in the game because we family members, and it just all kind of bothered us. So we really wanted to come at this. So there's a lot of great CRM providers out there. Our job is not to bring them down. We're really good at what we do. Like, we're really good at this. However, as a contractor, you should be pushing your CRM provider to give access to what's called an API or a data feed that makes our job easier. And if they're not doing that, you should be looking elsewhere, because this can be the difference between millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever impact that you have for your business. So that's really important to push back on them. So yes, we are doing this. When it comes to, do we run the ads? Does somebody else run the ads? So for a long time, we were running the ads, but we've since kind of pivoted that. We have some amazing clients that we work with who we run the ads on their behalf, but we have started working with agencies and vendors in the space. We want to. We were Searchlight Advertising. We changed our name to Searchlight, and our website, searchlightdigital.io, because we want to be a friendly source. We've had conversations with conversion tool providers to help them measure the impact. If you're an agency and you do PPC or you do SEO, we want you to have this data because it gets in the hands of your contractor who can efficiently run their business. I'll never forget, I'll say this quickly and I'll let you guys ask a question. One of our clients asked me to talk to one of his friends in a different state that was struggling. And we talked about, how his business had sort of fallen apart. I showed him the dashboard. And I just remember him saying, if I had this 9 months ago, I wouldn't be insolvent. I wasted a lot of money on marketing just because I was trying to get leads. I didn't know if it was actually working, and clearly it didn't, and it's too late. And I don't want people to have to go through that. So yeah, we're working with contractors, but also with agencies and vendor partners.
So how this all came about and how we got John on here, we had a mutual client. I had no idea who these guys were. and they were doing pay-per-click for this garage door company. They came to me. I had been looking for, I've tried multiple solutions and wasted a lot of money trying to find what I thought was the thing that was going to give me the data I wanted, which started a conversation with the founder, Kevin, and John, and some of their other teammates, and got us to the point where we're, actively, like, literally going back and forth with ideas and thoughts and stuff like that, because this is so powerful. And this levels the playing field, because you guys know, if any of you guys seen my Facebook posts or listen on the podcast, I cannot stand the crap in the marketing industry. And when I say crap, it's really bad reporting. It's really bad workmanship. It's a blanket cover over. It's like putting the wool over your eyes type of thing. Mm-hmm. And contractors get bad information, and they feel like marketing companies are scamming them, which some are, some aren't. But this unveils, this kind of pulls back the curtain. And now the data from your CRM, not our CRM, not another marketing company CRM, but your CRM, your data is reported back to you. And there's no way to manipulate it. It's completely through this tag. Like, there's no way a human can go in there and manipulate the data, give you something that looks pretty on paper, and leaves out some of the stuff that maybe they don't want you to see. And that's really where I think, as a whole, the industry needs to demand this type of reporting from and it's not just marketing companies, all your vendors. Demand transparency, because I think this is where, if you want to grow your business, you need this transparency. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's like putting a blindfold on, spinning around 10 times, and trying to hit a bullseye on a dartboard. It's not. And
the first year or two that I was in a contract for a year, but the first year I was in business, I signed up for this one marketing agency, and we've never even talked about them before on here or anything, but it was $2,500 a month was their entry level package, and I was small, like just starting out, like just one guy in a truck type thing, and $2,500 a month. And every time they'd give me this fancy, every month it was like this wonderful looking brochure, and I was like, this is a horse crap. Like, I'm not getting any leads from this. I know I'm not. These are people, the people that are clicking these are already my customers, and I'm paying you $2,500 just for this branding thing. It irritated me so bad, because I didn't know anything about the branding aspect of PPC, and I was just furiated. And it was, $2,500 a month was wasted for a full year, because that's what they did every single month, was just spent money on that and took their fees out of it.
Well, and I think the important part too, especially with ads, and we don't run ads for people, or Google ads, I should say, but understanding what you're getting, because what their product does as well is it not just tells you your cost per lead, but it also tells you your average ticket by each segment. So you know what's working, what's not, what you really maybe should focus more on based on that data. And it's decisions like those, like, hey, do I sink more money into this or this thing or that thing? Mm-hmm. This actually will help you understand which thing is making you the most money and where your best leads are coming from, versus, again, looking at data that's not accurate and you're guessing. And that's,
so what
that's
happens
what I love about it.
If it's offline data, if it's offline marketing?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. Really, if you're doing direct mail, so we've talked to clients about this. If you're doing direct mail and you put a tracking number on that piece of direct mail, or you put a QR code on it, we can track that, right?
I think my thought is referrals, because we do a ton of referral marketing.
Yeah, which is great. So what we do is we pull the data in from the CRM, right? And it's going to show us, okay, what was entered by the CSR, and then how did they come in digitally? But this is important, because I'm going to give an example of why this is important. So it's good to look at both. You might get a lot of referrals. We had a client that was spending a significant amount of money on PPC. And in the first 2 weeks of the reporting, we noticed that something was very wrong. Their phone call match rate was 11%. That means 11 out of every 100 phone calls we drove were matching into work. That's bad. Like, it's really bad. So we just called into the number, and what we realized is their automated phone system was looping through without giving an option to press a number to speak to a human. So if a human wasn't answering it and you got rolled over to, this is so-and-so and here's why our business is great, you were getting stuck for 10 to 15 minutes. So what I explained and what I do explain, because clients will challenge us sometimes and say, well, it's all referrals, doesn't matter. I said, no, like, this is about revenue, but it's also about operational efficiency. I don't care if your best friend's sister wants a $50,000 replacement. If your automated phone greeting is looping through and she can't get a hold of you, you're not going to close the business. So we kind of look at it in different buckets. Josh mentioned we could look at business unit, but we're looking at your operations to make sure that nothing is broken. We've seen forms on websites go down, lead volume go down, because the submit button doesn't work. We've seen click to call on mobile stop working. It's those little details. The whole idea here is of providing a frictionless experience. That's the base level, is making sure when your referrals do try to get a hold of you, you're there and it's easy. And then the next level is going and getting new customers with different strategies, and then continually monitoring that and staying on top of it.
Man, I had one time where my the form fill on the website was going to my spam folder.
Yep.
And I was like, I didn't realize it until like a month later.
Yep.
And it drove me crazy. I'm constantly going through my spam folder now, but it blew my mind how many leads that were just sitting there. And some of them we got, and a lot of them were just completely lost.
Yep. Another thing that we see, right? Because these are signals to us to go dig further. That's what we love about this. So another thing we were seeing is really low match rates across the board, really low book job rates. And what we figured out is that a lot of the leads were outside of the service area, but the website hadn't been updated. So people are coming to the website and they're seeing, oh, they service these areas. They're calling in for those areas, eating up your PPC budget, which is precious, and they no longer service those areas. So it's those little gotchas that I think, everybody has. And it's, look, I like accountability. It's important. We're never there to play the blame game and say, this is your fault. It's just, hey, we can monitor this for you so that those little annoying things that happen to everybody, you can fix and it can add up.
Let's get it resolved. Like
get it resolved.
Yeah.
And stay on top of it. It's a tracker to just stay on top of that revenue flow. Where are you leaking the revenue, and how do you tactically go after it versus, oh, my leads are down. Well, we can actually come in and say, okay, lead volume is down. Your match rate's down. It's down specifically for form leads that relate to replacements. Oh my gosh, it was going to spam for a month. We can fix that in 3 days, right?
Really quick, you've mentioned match rate a couple of times. At the beginning, you explained what it was. Can you share again what it is? Because you said low match rate.
Yeah, of course. So the match rate is the percentage of leads that end up in the CRM with a sellable opportunity. So there's sort of two phases that we look at. Somebody calls into the business. Do they make it into the CRM with a job opportunity like a repair, an estimate or a scheduled consultation? And then do they actually book that job? So match rate is just saying, hey, they made it into your CRM and you have a chance to sell to them.
Okay, cool. So my buddy Chris Hughes, he has a question here for those who are listening to this show. He said, if a company is brand new to a marketplace and is smaller in size, would it be advisable for them to brand themselves in the marketplace first or jump right into lead generation services?
Yeah. Brand first as much as you can. I can't tell you how many times, again, because we see all this data, right? Wrapped trucks is amazing. A new customer is not just one new customer. If you wrap your trucks, you don't do any lead gen, and you're doing branding, neighbors, go door to door if that's what it takes to just get the momentum going, to build the reputation and get reviews. People are going to see that, and you're going to get more business. We talk about this all the time. Now, it can be dependent on the market. If you're in a major metro and you're smart, like right now. So here's another really great part of our data is Facebook is becoming undervalued again because the audience data went away and people are pulling their budgets. So Facebook might be a really interesting play, which we can see. We're like, oh my gosh, the cost per book job is going down. The revenue is going up. Is PPC getting more competitive? Christopher, I really think right now, video content on Facebook and put it up on YouTube. Introduce yourself. We've seen a lot of we've seen leads come through, selfie style videos that are passionate, authentic. I'm in your neighborhood. These are the services that I'm providing, and that's free to upload to a Facebook page. So that's what I would say. Brand first, and then start to think about the lead gen.
I love the topic of video content. I think it's something I feel like, I don't know, Church, I feel like even just before we were on the podcast together, we talked about this for years. And I feel like so many people, if you ask them, they know that they should be making video content.
But they don't want to get on video.
The number of people that are not doing it that know are like, I mean, it's probably 90% There's like, I don't know what to create. I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to sound stupid. And it is, they stop doing it. But I'm telling you, just from, and I have had a little bit of a layoff from making my own stuff, but starting a business and being a little over 2 years old, I focused a lot on video content, and that is like a gift that keeps on giving. I have people all the time. Oh, I love your videos. I'm like, I only have like 200 some subscribers. Like, nobody's watching these. But you'd be surprised at how many people find that stuff and watch your videos and get real value from what you have to say, because you're so, like, for you, Tersh, you've been in this trade forever. Like, you have so much knowledge stored in that bald head of yours that
useless knowledge.
Other people will find a lot of value in that. Even homeowners be like, okay, I realize now why I need to hire you, because I don't know this stuff and I'm going to screw something up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some people have the same concern that I have and had, and that's the fact that, my mom's always told me I have a face for radio. So videos.
She was being kind to you saying that.
There's a comment. It just says Facebook user, but somebody has absolutely nailed it. If you're worried about having a face for radio, showing customers behind the scenes, documenting a little bit about what you do will go an extremely long way. So we've done a couple of experiments.
Oh, that was Gil.
Spot on. I mean, absolutely spot on. Just show them the behind the scenes. Put it on your Facebook page, share it with some friends. You'd be surprised at how getting to see that makes people feel a lot more comfortable spending $12,000 on an AC replacement with your business over somebody else.
Well,
We've seen it in the data.
I sent Josh a TikTok this morning about something almost similar to this.
A guy literally hired someone to follow him around because he hated making content, like trying to figure out what to make. So he hired someone to like follow him around.
Yep.
And they just made content based on what he did during the day.
Yeah.
And if you think about this, so you're telling, especially with the pricing in the market, I know we're going off topic here, but the pricing in the market for a new air conditioning system, we see the post, it's really high. Yeah. Prices keep going up. Imagine if you go to a customer's house, you talk about them with an estimate, you show them, once you approve this estimate, this is what's going to happen. This is what our team does to make sure that we are ready for your installation. This is our process to handle warranties. And you document it in a video, real short video, 3 minutes. We do this, then this. They know exactly what to expect. Now you've taken you turn and open the curtains. Because right now, no homeowner knows what the hell an HVAC company does once they sign the estimate. They're like, I don't know what they do. They probably got the equipment sitting in the back of their truck. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like they're just screwing me over by making me wait over a long weekend. But opening the doors and showing people what is going on, I think you don't realize how much that would endear you to your local market, because we live in an age now where there's so much information. They want to know what's actually happening, not what Google tells them. Like, what are you actually doing with my money, and what am I getting for it?
Yeah, I'll give a quick data point. I don't usually share this because A, we're focused on the data analytics, and B, I've never seen returns this high. One of our longest standing clients does video content, in spades. Like, they do it so well. They've got we call it dark social, and I did a podcast about that. We saw a 52x return on ad spend for PPC from new customers alone in a single month. So they spent, I don't know, I think $10,000 and got about $500,000 in return. I mean, just unbelievable. And I'm not taking credit for that. We did the blocking and tackling. We've worked with them to refine their processes, but everything was so dialed in from just their process of how they serve customers, how they communicate that, how they advertise, how they get a customer through the flow of revenue efficiently. And I mean, we were talked earlier, Josh, like an 8 to 10x return on ad spend close is a great return for those channels. They got, and I checked it, I QA'd every single lead to revenue for that one, 52x, which takes time. There's no guarantees there. You're not gonna be able to get that, but that was just everything running in harmony, just the difference in what that can get you.
Wow. That client had to be happy. Holy shit.
Yeah.
If I could give you 10 grand, you give me $500,000 back, I'd be singing from the rooftops.
Yeah. And and someone listening might say, well, how could I ever climb that mountain and get there? You know, it's just the micro process. What we tell our clients is, listen, if we can improve book job rate by 1% each month, just 1%, that's going to compound like interest rates for your business. If you're getting 100 leads and the average ticket you have is $3,500, an increase of 1%, just one more, is $3,500 in the first month, then $7,000 in the second month, then $10,500. And by having these metrics, you can see exactly where you need to spend your time. So you're not spending hours listening to phone calls like we have to do that. If you're an agency, you don't have to listen to hours and hours of phone calls. You can just look at the data and say, okay, match rate's low. We got to go look into this. We got to go fix it.
All right, John. So you have a ton of knowledge and the data to back it all up. For people who want to learn more, connect with you, follow you, what's the best way for that to happen? I know you have a podcast.
Yeah, sure. So 5 minutes to better home services marketing is the name of the podcast. You can email me, Jon, Jon, at searchlightadvertising.com. We haven't changed over that domain yet. And then I also have a Substack, which is just an email newsletter. It's called the Data Driven Trades, where I publish data that's anonymized. I'm not sharing any specific client data, but just as a whole of the industry from what we see, so that you can see general trends. Like I noticed someone in here said, hey, what percent of leads were coming through the chat tool? Like we have stuff like that. So if you go to substack.com and you just look up the Data Driven Trades, you should find it. I'm sure we could probably share a link. I email about one.
Yeah, we'll get a link. So one other thing. So those that use Schedule Engine or have considered using it, John and his team have just done a huge study on that stuff too. And he's published that on LinkedIn and some other places. So there's some really good stuff there. If you just kind of want to understand some basic data and facts and stuff like that, I would definitely check that out.
Yep.
Cool. And the best way to connect with you as far as getting signed up with Searchlight?
Yeah, I would just say, you can go to our website, searchlightdigital.io, and contact us that way. But we're all about creating less friction, right? So just Jon at searchlightadvertising.com. Shoot me an email. Would love to talk. Agencies, vendors, contractors. We just want this data in your hands. It gives you a little bit more leverage with your business.
Cool, man.
I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing. You guys been kind of like my dirty little secret. So
no, I'm humbled to even
now people know. So
cat's out of the bag.
World. Yeah. So, but I appreciate not only you having come on here, but everything we've talked about.
Of course.
Stuff like that.
No, thank you. I mean, I appreciate you for giving me a platform. I'm humbled. So.
Absolutely. And if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to John. And until we talk again next time, I hope you have a wonderful and safe week. And thank you for hanging out with us this morning on the Service Business Mastery Podcast. We'll see you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Service Business Mastery. Now that you are equipped with essential business advice from this impactful conversation, you are one step closer to becoming the successful owner of your dreams. If this episode has been helpful to your business journey, don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a rating, and share it with other owners as well. Visit servicebusinessmastery.com to learn more.